250 with DMTombstone Live, Season 2, Episode 71. Action. Oh, how's it going, YouTube? DMTombstone Belts back here with a brand new episode of DMTombstone Live for you guys. You guys know when I do DMTombstone Live, it's unsanctioned, uncensored. Anything that happens, happens. Just try to keep it family friendly as possible. And gotta check something real quick. Hold on. It's gonna see. It's gonna okay. So for a second, we got sound now, guys. So you guys don't see my entire get up and all that. It's the 4th of July, so let me be the first to say Happy Independence Day. Or yeah, better yet, just happy 4th of July to all my fellow American fans out there. Not just any 4th of July. As today is a very special day for us Americans, because today marks the 250th birthday of when this document made us independent, away from Great Britain, and led the Revolutionary War to where we fought for our freedom. And 250 years later, this here contract or this here document is still playable to this day. This is a country of free men and will always be free. Freedom always comes at a great price. Man, what the hell is going on with this thing? Yeah. Hi there, Pez. Hi, Pez. Welcome to my live stream. Yeah, I wish I would have maybe an hour, but I was just outside, taking a little dip at the pool at my place. After all, it's only gonna be open till 3 o'clock, so I thought taking my time at the pool now while I still can. But yeah, just sitting down, enjoying my Independence Day and watching most popular movie of the fourth, The Patriot. If I get it to load up, this damn being a pain in the ass right now. But yeah, I am enjoying my 4th of July right now. I mean, if you guys didn't see my recent post on Instagram, I posted a pic, or no, a pic, a little loud. I posted something on my Instagram to wish everybody a happy 4th. But yet, happy 250 for America. My 4 U.S. belt. Patriot, the Mel Gibson movie. Yes, indeed, The Patriot. I mean, after all, 200. It was 250 years ago to this day that that 55 people have document here, known as the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson, and signed by the Congress of John Hancock and Ben Franklin, and of course, second or soon to be second president John Adams. And to think that if we never became or independent nation, every single man that would have been that written down their names on this would just been known as a hit list. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a great movie if I get the damn thing to load up. I don't get what doesn't want to work. Almost want to try. Must. Oh, I'm gonna try something else. Maybe watch another movie because it seems like to me this damn thing doesn't want to work. But yeah, like, this, like, I'm pretty sure it was a great movie. It came out 26 years ago, starring Mel Gibson, and of course another uh, actor, late great Heath Ledger, who played his son, uh, known as, I think his son's name in the movie is called Gabriel. Yeah. At the same, at some point, I'll probably watch at least the little Independence Day. Well, I know I want to try to watch Independence Day as well. I got myself like a Fourth of July movie marathon thing going. Like every Fourth of July, I will at least watch The Patriot and then watch the two Independence Day movies. Maybe try to see if there's any other American movies to watch. I don't get what the hell. Well, I gotta see something. All right. Yeah, it's a good movie. Independence Day it came out year I was born. Emily's bread. Eh? Hello, my fellow patriot. Hello, Emily's bread. Welcome to the live stream. Hope you're having a good Fourth. And I know I will be enjoying some barbecue later today. Maybe I'll go get some beer, but I don't have any beer with me right now. So, and obviously I'll be drinking other stuff other than alcohol. So, just want to say, please drink responsibly for the people that are watching my streams. After all, we want to have a nice, safe Fourth. Meantime, I'm gonna get back to watching. Watch a bit of this movie last night. One beer. What? Two beer. References of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I was thinking about getting fireworks, but then in the area where I'm at, and of course, there's storms coming along. So, I mean, soon. So obviously, that may be out of the picture. But last night on the CNN, where the 316 said, "Drink some beer." Yeah, but not on camera. Never. Just to try to keep it as family friendly as possible. Drink responsibly. Done live stream all that. Okay, we're getting there. Gotta figure out. Uh, yeah. Uh, Last night we had some bad storms that came this way. Wind that knocked off the siding on my house, blew the skirt down, had to put it back together before the real bad stuff happened, with the. And of course, yeah, I had to worry about because I started getting yellow jackets forming a nest outside near our windows, so I had to I had to ask the neighbor for some wasp spray to spray those sons of bitches on the window. But then now they moved to the other side of the windowsill, and now that's more of a pain in the ass. Come on, Jack. All right. Be right back, guys. Just give me 1 minute. But yeah. So you guys plans of the on the 4th today? Then on mine, mostly just gonna enjoy some burgers on the barbecue, maybe some hot dogs. Uh, and most likely just be watching some Patriot movies. Hey, you know what? This is bogus. I'll just switch this to another movie at the moment. Hopefully, this will fix something. Then I'll put the Patriot back on because now it's just becoming a pain in the ass. It doesn't even want to work. It sounds like I'm hearing people shooting on fireworks right now, but I don't know what's the point of shooting off fireworks when you're not going to be able to see them. I mean, unless it's just the, just those popping ones or some shit like that. Yeah. Wait, festivities might be inside today. Yeah. Too hot outside with a chance of storms. Yeah, same here. I mean, it's about 80 some degrees right now, but it's going to get probably more muggy, and then we're expecting storms as well here. Latest things gets going, starts to work. All right. Do that. Oh, yeah. Anyway, yesterday, and what was your anyone's thoughts about SmackDown yesterday as well? Now we see that there's- they're making Sami Zayn more of a heel character, even though he's trying to be a good guy. Yeah, I would agree with that. 93 where I live. Oh wow, man, what the? You know what? Let's just stuff off. Let's try to turn the system back on in that. You gay? Right. Well, SmackDown, obviously, they celebrated about being the new WWE champion. Cody wanted his rematch match with him, but Adam, come on. And of course, there was other matches, Jay Cargill and all them beating Charlotte and Alexa. And Jade's group, Fatal Attraction, or whatever their name's called, beating the women's champions. Um, Carmelo Hayes challenged Trick Williams to a match next week. Obviously, not for the title. Guess that means that come on, son of a bitch. Uh, wins the match this week or next week on SmackDown. He will earn an opportunity to become the number one contender for the U.S. title down the line, and as well, last night's main event it was Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso, and the winner will face Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Championship this Monday on on Raw for the title. And obviously, do you guys think that Sami Zayn's going to retain the title on Raw? I highly doubt that if he is going to retain the title. Because after all, they said a lot of people think he's a transition champion. Like they give him the title just so he can pass it off to somebody else all the way to the next one at SummerSlam. Much I could probably see that, but then why have Cody Rhodes lose the title in the first place? If they were just going to give it back to him, it would be stupid. And that's basically it. But Mhm. All right. Well, I guess you gotta wait for that movie to load up. Not sure about that. Yeah, but they did a lot. Yeah, last night. Other than the fact of SmackDown, but they had two brand new episodes of Braun Strowman's Everything on the Menu, where he had a Boston comedian and one of the Philadelphia Eagle football players on the episodes. He was in Philadelphia and, of course, in Boston. The first episode they showed was Philadelphia, and he was doing it in order to celebrate America's 250, where he was obviously having a cheesesteak with Ben Franklin or someone Ben Franklin. Oh, like a bit or something. But yeah, and then I gotta say that Boston and Philadelphia do have good food when I saw in those episodes, but when I watch those episodes and all it does is make me more hungry for food because seeing the type of food they have, and it's like, when he wherever he goes for the food. What the hell's up with this thing? But speaking of, after those everything episodes, they also did WWE's Only America or something like that. You really need to try good cheesesteak sometime. Well, I hope so. But I saw there was a place he went to that made their own like breads meant for cheesesteaks, and it does look pretty damn good. Hold on, I gotta check something though. Yeah, I guess this. I'm gonna check my connection. That works. Well, if it's all good, then why is it not fucking working? I'm gonna check Netflix for a second. Trying to watch this movie, and it seems like it's becoming a real pain in the ass. Maybe hopes that this movie's on Netflix.
Very short period of time, every single British officer has been either killed or wounded. We need to get to the safety area. Believe me. Save what can be saved. No, we can't get you clear.
Right. The one movie I won't mind seeing on here, but yet it's not on here. Mm, But I'm gonna spend all day trying to watch this damn thing. It's a pain in the ass. Do you remember the name of the places? Yeah, not in particularly. I think there was this one. I think it was called Randu's or something like that in Boston. That's where it was. And I think there was another one. It was something in Molly's or there's something in Maryland. Buzz in Maryland's. I think that's the name of this of that one in Philadelphia. That what the getting real much. It's getting more difficult to try to watch this shit. Here, come on. But I say I like everything on the menu. How it's kind of what's somewhat uncensored because you know, struggle every now and then go like, "Holy shit!" And they don't literally censor them out. What the hell's going on with this thing? This thing. But there's not a super fast food delivery service. I'd send you a chance to a rocket if I could. Okay, the movie's going now. I'm just gonna leave it alone. And I just had to talk. And hell, refresh. Hate the fact that I gotta refresh the damn thing. Seems like the internet's messed up or something. I don't know. But yeah. Just say it's been a real pain in the ass just to watch these movies. They don't even want to load up now. Yeah, I got refreshed. It's crazy how they would just line up and run it back then. Oh, like you're talking about like how the British and us fought them during the war days. Well, they're funny. Not all didn't like that. The the Indians during this battle of French of the America in the movie. Yeah. Well, as well how they also fought like in the French and Indian War. They showed exactly how there was basically how they created guerrilla warfare. Because way are in the movie how they showed them like shooting behind trees and stuff instead of like shooting in formation. It also it was discriminating. It was describing like how okay. Oh well, I got Peacock. I forgot if I have Peacock. So okay, so then I can't watch the Patriot on Peacock. That's good. If it ain't gonna play on that damn thing, I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, in that movie, you try to explain much of the, of, of the time of the Revolutionary War and all that. And of course, hold on, trying to put this up right now. I thought oh, there it is. All right, I'll watch it right here. But yeah, definitely. If you think how it was in the movie, imagine it was in real life. Imagine standing like 10 to 20 yards away from your enemy in formation with your friends, aiming with a one-shot rifle, and probably back then the aiming wasn't as good as today's guns. And and then once you fire it, you strike the guy, he drops, but you gotta put the gun down, pull the rod, the ramrod out, ammunition, bite the bullet quite literally, and then pour your lead shot down, hit the bullet, jam it onto the top part of the barrel, and then ram it down. Okay, you got only seconds to dry this because so while you're doing that, the enemy's probably firing back at you with the same weapons. 3 different movies every day. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to watch The Patriot. I was trying to watch it on some streaming app, but it ain't working. So now I just put it on Peacock. Now I'll watch the movie from there. I'll be right back, guys. Gotta get another drink.
Find out how you can improve your skin at OmniluxLED.com.
As a professional hairstylist, I'm very particular about what I recommend to my clients. The Jolie shower head is one of the first things I recommend for them, especially with gray hair, silver hair. For the male clients, the female clients, it really removes the chlorine out of the water and helps take out any green tinges that if you have silver hair, white hair, you would understand what I'm saying. Jolie shower head removes that green tinge. It's great. Millions return. Been your deal of deals. Florida Good Guys. Stream all 9 seasons on Peacock in English.
I'm just trying to move forward. So I'm planning on having a girls' weekend to talk. Your husband just died and made us these baskets. This is how I do it. Your best friends in the world are here. You wanted to have a new pajama gift.
Man, I mean, I like the bed with the streaming stuff because they didn't have to worry about ads. But here they put ads at the beginning of the damn thing. I was always afraid of losing my connection. That's why I rather have the physical movie just in case the internet connection was down for some reason. Yeah, I do that many times too. But right now I'm kind of fast forward through this stuff because I've already seen most of it, just trying to watch it to where I was at last time.
God, this is not a time for victory. This is a time for mourning.
Yeah, but yeah, there are a lot of good actors in this. That guy who plays John. He played in Eight-Legged Freaks as the mayor of this county in Arizona. Forgot the actor's name, but yeah, they had a lot of good showing of this. I gotta say, The Patriot was probably a great movie and a great time. You know, any historical accuracies in the movie, but I can assume there's some parts of them, like the plot of the movie, is somewhat relatable to what happened in real life. You know, like it did some. Yeah, and the main bad guy is in the Harry Potter movies. Yeah. Well, also he played in. I think he was also in Armageddon as that one scientist talking about. Think of a firecracker in your hand. You open like this, and it goes off. You burn your hand. Now, that's a firecracker. Close your fist and light it. When it goes off, hope your mistress be kind of shoes for the rest of your life. Like that's I think that's what as well. The British guy played a lot of movies as well relatable to that, like Armageddon and that. Anyway, but yeah, it's still a good. I say it's still a classic movie to watch on the 4th of July. Other than a classic fictional movie that had a bit of action in it, like Independence Day and their sequel to Independence Day, Resurgence. And of course, I wanted to see that new that came out yesterday as well. Of the with star Joaquin Phoenix. But how about this? Before we go off track, any of you guys got any good or no? How about this? I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What was probably the best matchup in wrestling to represent America at the 4th of July, or like something like that? What do you think is the most patriotic? What do you think was probably the best patriotic match you've seen? They do for the U.S. for United States of America in any wrestling from WCW, ECW, WWE, any of those. Like, name your best patriotic moment for wrestling. Like for me, I would have to say my probably the best patriotic moment would have to be September 13th, 2001, when they filmed SmackDown. They did SmackDown on that 2 days after 9/11. In the opening, they had Vince McMahon talk about, of what happened on the Tuesday in New York and in Pennsylvania. And he said that America was not going to be afraid of these coward terrorists. And then they opened more with Lillian Garcia singing the national anthem. I gotta say, nothing could beat that moment for me. That makes me want to scream USA because it made us stronger together, not only as wrestling fans but as Americans. To know that even during a moment of crisis and a moment of terror like 9/11, it didn't break us, and they took us. And that moment of wrestling took us away from the incident that happened. That's literally 2 days ago from New York. And to think that this will mark of the terrorist attacks in 9/11. I gotta say that there's a couple that come to mind. But yeah, as I was saying, for me, the most patriotic moment of that was just literally SmackDown where they had the red, white, and blue ropes and Lillian Garcia singing the national anthem, and it was 2 days after 9/11. I gotta say that was probably for me the best moment to be an American, the most patriotic moment of wrestling. What about yours? I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What particular moment in wrestling you think was more patriotic and American to anything? Say maybe like in the '80s, like WrestleMania 7 with Hulk Hogan versus the Iraqi supervisor Sergeant Slaughter for the WWE title. Lex Luger suplexing Yokozuna on the aircraft carrier in America's independence. Like that stuff. Hulk versus Sheik, 1984. Oh, that's a good moment. But wasn't that one? Is that? I don't think that one can be. I don't know if that one considered to be patriotic or not. But I do say it does feel great. And now here's this. Now I'm watching the Patriot. There's this scene. Mel Gibson plays a guy named Benjamin Harrison. His wife had a sister whose wife died years ago from God knows what. And here he is on the scene right after his son got married, singing at the beachside with his dead wife's sister, known as Charlotte. And out of nowhere, they just start kissing. Like that's some weird, messed up stuff. First of all, imagine what your kids were thinking of back in that. Your kids looked to Charlotte and called her Aunt Charlotte, and now they see their dad dealing with this. What? Aunt Charlotte would now just be known as a stepmom. That's a bit messed up. Obviously, I think. I mean, I'm not sure how the rules were back in 1776, but I know that's still a bit of a weird vibe. I think, yeah, your wife died, but yet she has a sister who's. But all the kids were just smiling to see that happen. It was like, no, that's messed up. Like that's supposed to be your sister-in-law. Hogan versus Slaughter is a good one. Yeah, I say that one was a good one. And they're saying as well another good patriotic moment could be where Hogan came out WrestleMania 21, throwing away Muhammad Hassan and Davari out of the ring, and then he would pose out on the stage with Old Glory flying right behind him, or like him versus Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam with Old Glory behind him. Like, there's nothing that beats those patriotic moments, like having like the popular superstars like come down to the stage with the American flag. Like for me, like the Undertaker at WrestleMania 19, driving down on his motorcycle with the American flag as well on that on a bike. And then when he wins, he goes out back out into the ring holding the American flag and raises it high. And he did that because I think he said that his nephew was going to be uh, being sent into the military and fighting for the country. Oh, yeah. Mm. Mm. But how about this one? Speaking of about the Independence Day and with this document here, the Declaration of Independence. Pretty sure we see if you guys know about this. Obviously, there's been, I think they said there's 55 so signed people on this, and one of them happens to be, I mean, obviously, everyone knows Ben Franklin, John Adams, and John Hancock, but there's also another particular person that everyone should probably know if they've been at a bar. Does anyone know one of the other people that signed this Declaration of Independence? And obviously, you know what the person I'm talking about when I'm referencing the bar. The reason I said Hogan versus Sheik was because in 1984, America hated Iran because of what happened previously with. Well, yeah, there's also Iraq too. And it's funny that we're dealing with Iran. It's funny you talk about that. Sam Adams. Yep. Of course, Pez would know about that. It definitely was Sam Adams. There's also other references of other people on here, like I don't think. I'm thinking Thomas Jefferson, right there, who signed this as well. Oh yeah, he did. Yep, Thomas Jefferson signed as well on here. So yeah, that literally says so two future presidents have their names written on this document, including the guy who wrote the damn thing. Yeah. Obviously, guys, this is just a copy I have. There's other, and I know there's other like well-known copies and replicas of the Declaration of Independence. But, I mean, because the real one is not this big or not this small. I'd say the real Declaration of Independence is literally about equivalent to maybe like the size, almost the size of the flag itself.
This man gets Martin's men supply. It brings them to a black swamp.
He's a liar.
They get lost by the old Spanish mission. This man. This black swamp. Spanish.
Yeah, it shows how. Too, I like this movie. How it shows how much of an assholes the British were.
Should you go?
Yeah, this guy, that colonel of the British, really showing no mercy to these people.
Judge.
Okay, that is messed up. Here's seeing the British colonel walks. First off, he walks into the church on the horse. I wonder how they did that stunt because to think how a horse could just walk into a church like that. First off, I think that's a bit of a foul play on the British guy because God forbid you allow animals in a church. I believe the Declaration of Independence and Constitution was based a bit on the Magna Carta. Well, maybe, maybe not. But yeah. I also got other documents right here. They're replicas. Obviously, yeah, you were talking about the Constitution. You all know about that one. This one was written by somebody else. They had other people that signed this. I think George Washington may have signed it, not sure. But I think there's some people that have signed. Oh, so Thomas Jefferson did sign this, and Ben Franklin. So to think, both these documents, two people that I see on here that have signed both that were being Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson. I'm pretty sure there's others that have signed, but the only ones I see that are somewhat similar is only Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin. But yeah, but what? But I don't know the Bill of Rights. Yep, in fact, that's what we got. That's what I got right here. This is a copy of the Bill of Rights. Obviously, the amendments of there's 10, but here this one of the Bill of Rights, it actually it has 12 right here. But I don't know why it has 12 when there's only 10 that people will know the Bill of Rights of. But anyway, yeah, these three, yeah, America celebrating 250 years, and yet we're celebrating the 250 not of the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, but of the document that started it all. This document is what started America. And then after that, that's when we created these documents like the Constitution. The Declaration of Independence made us free from the British Empire for our independence at the end of the war. And when we kicked their ass, we remained free. Then we decided to, after we were free, to make laws. And hence that's why we made the Constitution. And obviously now 250 years later, some of those laws kind of vary in their way. But yeah. Anyway, I'm getting off track. This scene in The Patriot, the British guy tells the colonel wanted to fire the town and throw the torches and burn the town down. But the British have known to burn shit, especially with the War of 1812. In fact, in the War of 1814, the British burned down a famous building, well, a couple famous buildings. They went into Washington, D.C. and burned, as far as I know, I heard they burned 2 buildings down. Do you know which ones? The Second Amendment to me is the most important, and because without that, you can't protect the other ones. The Second Amendment, isn't that the one that's known as the right to bear arms? I think the first one's like freedom of speech or something like that. I'm not sure. There's the right to bear arms, reasonable search and seizure. That's the White House, which was originally red. Was the White House red? I don't think so. I don't remember it being red. I know it wasn't completely white, because it was made out. It was sandstone. It was made out of sandstone. The exterior, the walls of the actual original White House was actually. Wow. Yeah, it's saying burn the church. There's people inside the church. Yeah, Google it. Well, I wish I could, but pour it on my phone. But yeah, this British guy's telling them to burn the church, and there's people that have like 20 or so people locked inside the church, and they were gonna just burn the town and let them just live. But then the British guy, since he's going against the rules of war, which I'm pretty sure there were rules of war back in those days. they changed a lot after 200 years. God damn it. I can Google it now. Let me take a look. Let me see. I just Googled it and now it says it wasn't. Exactly. You might have thought it. No, it must have been another building you're thinking of, but there. White House was originally was probably never white. In fact, they never even called it the White House. Back in that day, I think they called it the President's Mansion or the Executive Mansion. They call it the White House. They didn't start calling it the White House until Theodore Roosevelt was in the damn thing. And after that, but there was also another one the British burned down. That was the Capitol building, which obviously there's no signs or evidence of when they burned that building down. Because back then they only had two wings. They didn't build the central part and the extended or the dome yet. But yeah, nah. Well, yeah, I know more. I learned more of my American history on watching stuff on YouTube and of course in school. And I was never told that the White House was red in the beginning. But I know it was probably not either because in the beginning the White House was built on sandstone, like I mentioned, and they never thought of painting stones. Probably till after the British burned it down. You know, they painted over the stones because the stones stood, but yet they wanted to cover up the burn marks. So that's when they started painting the White House white. White. But then again, white is not really that good of a color to paint. I mean, because if you ever have a white car or a white shirt in that, they could stain easily. But I guess the paints they use on the White House are somewhat resistant to the elements and stuff like that, so it could stay perfectly white for a while. But then I think every couple years, put down off the building and then repaint it again. I'm pretty good on history. Unfortunately, my memory isn't what it used to be. Okay, well, like this history. Speaking of do you know what actually put out the fires at the White House and the Capitol building? So I could be wrong on occasion. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but did you know there was something also the particular that happened on the War of 1812 during the time when they burned the White House and that down? Something happened that put out the fires and actually killed a few British people, which made them run for their lives and never come back again. Do you know what it was that probably put out the fires? I'll probably wait for you guys to answer, but it is the quiz time. For my American people to learn their American history, during the War of 1812, when the British came in, some kind of bad storm, I imagine. Yes, indeed, it was a bad storm. In fact, right during the time when the British burned down the White House and that, a, a peculiar storm came about. In fact, it spawned a tornado, which actually, the amount of force and strength and winds, they not say how strong the tornado was. They may say it could have been an F3 or EF3 at this time, but it was strong enough to where the winds blew out the fires. It was little damage, but then again, it did it actually did more good than harm, because then it killed a couple British soldiers to make the soldiers run back to England and never come back to the Washington again, as far as I heard. But yeah, this is in this scene. This is wrong on two accounts. In fact, they're gonna burn people alive inside a building, just to set an example. But as well, they're gonna burn a church. Obviously, that's seen as morally wrong today. And to think back then, you're gonna burn a house of God. That's kind of messed up. And he throws the church up in the flames. Close the windows. Wow, they even board up the windows to keep it inside. Smoke fumes in, they're all going to suffocate before anything. Yeah. Yeah. Here's one for you. Which war killed the most American soldiers? Well, I would assume it would be the Civil War, since technically that one was basically us against our. I would mostly think that. Or second closest one I had to say would probably be the Vietnam War. Just by or no, actually, I would say it's between the American Civil War, or I'm going to say World War One, because during World War One they also had to fight off the H1N1 virus or the Spanish flu, and they claiming that it killed more soldiers than the war. It's a trick question. It's the Civil War. That's why I said I did say it was going to be the Civil War. That's why I said it first, because I'm saying because it was literally America versus America. But then again, any war that involves with a country against itself, it's going to cause more casualties of its citizens, because that's all it's brother against brother. But then again, it only made America stronger when it was fighting against itself, to prove that it'll be more stronger to be united when tested. Oh, they know now. They're not in their homes. He sees that the chain on the front door of the church. They were all killed. Wow. Oh, hello. Iran. What is this? For those that are, I said hi. Yeah. I think his name is just okay. Iran, but just knowing I speak in a foreign language, I only know English, so I don't know what you say, but I'll say thank you. Welcome to the live stream. Oh, so they're burning another house. But yeah. So he definitely deserved to get his ass. Deserve to get their ass beat for what they just did to him. Yeah. Down goes the preacher. Love the dogs in that movie. I used to have Great Danes 20 years ago. Oh, yeah, and he named them after the planets. In fact, you remember the names of the dogs in the movie? We'll have a bit of a quiz time here. Let's see if you remember the movie that well. Oh, you got him. And he's dead. Let's see. Pez, do you remember the name of the dogs in the movie The Patriot? I'm gonna get a drink. I'll be right back. All right. Jupiter and Mars. Oh, yeah, so you do know it. My wife loves Heath Ledger, especially in The Knight's Tale. Well, he played in a lot of good movies. His last one being The Dark Knight. But he also, I think he played in the movie Brokeback Mountain with that other guy who played in Jarhead. Forgot the actor's name, but he was in that movie as well. I mean, it's odd I'm trying to movie like that, but yeah. Heath Ledger is a good actor. I'll give it that. Oh.
Take care of you.
Oh. Jake Gill something. Okay.
You're gonna be all right.
Uh-oh. He just lost his son. Seeing the scene of Mel Gibson crying after losing Heath Ledger, it almost makes bring a tear to my eye to know that he just lost his son, his second son. But anyway, how about this one? True or false? Out of all the designs of the American flag throughout its 250 years, there's only one flag that actually had more than 13 stripes. But then when they started getting more states and added more stars to the flag, they reverted back to 13 because then again, if we had more stripes, it'd be nearly impossible to, or yeah, that's those stripes would be ridiculous. So true or false? Real the flag design over the 250 years of this country stripes. Come on.
Shit. We have a chance. Really, and
13 stripes represent the original 13 colonies. Yes, they do. But I'm saying, true or false? Out of the history of the American flag, in fact, let me grab the one that's right behind the camera right here. History of this American flag, obviously the first one being with 13 stars and 13 stripes. We have all the way to this flag of today with 13 stripes and 50 stars. There was only one flag that had more than 13. True? Yes, indeed, it was. In fact, that particular flag is what actually spawned our national anthem, which is the name of the Star Spangled Banner, which is the nickname what we call our flag, other than Old Glory and Stars and Stripes and all that. The time when we had 15 states and there was 15 stars on the flag, they also thought to add stripes to the flag as well. But after when we added 5 new states to the union, they realized the stripes were going to get thinner and thinner every time they added a new stripe to the flag. So they made it by law that they were back. All right. Sorry, we had a bit of a malfunction there, but anyway, I was saying, in the time when we were during the battle, I think 1812 or something like that, we had a 15-star flag, but also had 15 stripes. It was actually what we call the Star Spangled Banner. And yet that flag, in fact, in Fort McHenry, where Francis Scott Key created the national anthem, Fort McHenry is still around today, and they actually fly that exact same flag, the 15 stars and stripes, inside the fort to this very day. You'd be surprised how many people don't know how many states there are and how many stars are on the flag. Well, yeah. Well, we'll get this. True or false? I mean, how about this one? Particularly, a lot of people suspected that Betsy Ross helped create our very first U.S. flag. In fact, hold on. I'm going to take a little walk I think we're gonna take a little walk for a minute, guys. Show you guys something real quick. I want to say, right here, I have our flag out. I have two flags, one with the 50 stars, but since it's the 4th of July and to celebrate 250, I thought, what better way than to have the Betsy Ross flag out with the circle, with the 13 stars in a circle. I say that's my flag. Well, one of my flags. But in particular, a lot of people say they call it the Betsy Ross flag because they thought it was made by, Betsy Ross. But as well, a lot of people thought the Betsy Ross design was like this 13 stars in a circle. Well, true fact. But here's a true flag. May not be an actual design that was used during the time of the Revolutionary War. In fact, the 13 stars in a circle, no one really knows exactly where that design came from. And a lot of people question, did Betsy Ross actually wear a flag? It's still a mystery to this day. Don't. Okay. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. But yeah, that's the true fact about the American. Most people thought it was probably made the Betsy Ross one, but there's no written proof or evidence to show that Betsy Ross was the first designer of the American flag. It's just no historical proof, other from paintings and documentaries and stuff that were told throughout the years. But then again, there's no written down evidence or proof that Betsy Ross was the one that actually created the first American flag. Again, like I said, Well, I like the movie about the Patriot because of how they show about an alliance and friendship between the American colonists and, of course, the one commander from the French army to help them out and wait till the French arrive. And that's what helped build our alliance with with France after all these years. Have you seen Iran to it lately? Not really. Probably busy with something. You ever watch a movie with commentary to learn more about the movies? Some of them I have. Like, obviously, in the scene of the Patriot, where they have an African American being part of the militia. Obviously, some part back in the time of the Revolutionary War, in fact, even during the Civil War, what they say actually here in the American Revolutionary War, it wasn't just the American side that was doing this, but the British side as well. That if any slaves of the American colonies participated, no matter which side they were on, most likely the British, if they fought against for the British, would be granted their freedom. Which obviously was true. Now I don't know if it's the exact same on the American side, but I believe they say it was like in the movie they say the character, I think his name was Abraham or something. He he had to work for the military for 12 months to at least get granted his freedom, and then after that, if he works beyond that, he would get paid for it. One would assume that they would only watch a movie with commentary if you really like that. I have a couple. But yeah, there. I'm gonna turn it to this scene in the movie. Just make this one particular scene. So look at all that. Imagine walking like with the British there. You see one African American in there. But look at this scene. All of them holding their guns up. Imagine being a British person walking towards them, and then he told you to stop. You're standing right there. Now imagine seeing this. All those guns just go from up to down. And then that. Already away with them dropping. And now it's their turn. They fire back. And looks by the distance, it's about 30 yards or so out. Now imagine being out there Up the cannonballs. Ooh. That was the worst thing that happened too. Was the cannonballs. You didn't think it was just the. You don't think it was just the. It was just the rifles they were shooting off, but it was also. I mean, it was also. It was also involving with the cannonballs, and then one cannonball blast wouldn't just take a man out; it could take out an entire battalion. It would take out like 10 people. But yeah. Oh, now they're retreating. But yeah. Imagine this. Imagine being back in that day, 30 feet or like 30 yards away from the British, or depending on what side you were on, away from your enemy. Let's say that 30 yards out from your enemy, with only a one-shot musket or a rifle. I think we had on the American side they had rifles. They created a rifle. I say we take that because we took a Brown Bess smoothbore musket, which was used for the British at the time. We still used some of them during the Revolutionary War, but we added spiral grooves in the barrel called rifling, and we created a rifle. That's where we made the Kentucky long rifle. And then we had a mixture of those along with the muskets, and we've seen as well with the rifling, we can stand back further and pick out juicy targets like officers. In fact, that's what George Washington did for most of his revolutionary. I mean, with the Continental Army at that time, and he would train his. They would pick off juicy targets, literally take out the officers and work their way down, because they. If you just take out a normal soldier, another one gets fill in his place, and the commander can still tell him what to do. But if you take out the heads up and the commanders, it leaves the soldiers puzzled like what should they do now? But imagine after you fired your one shot, if you hit or miss, now you gotta lay the gun down and then you load it up. Now while you're doing that thing, back in those days, some could load it up in a minute. But while you're loading it, your opponent's firing back at you. If not yet, more than one person could be firing at you. In Brown Bess, they were not as accurate from a further distance away. Since they were smooth barrels, they could shoot off anywhere. So literally, you're standing there. There's a chance you could get nicked. It could pass by you. It could hit you, or hit the guy. Seeing your guy right next to you get shot down, and you still have to load that gun up, and then take aim and fire again. Next thing you know, you run out of ammo. If you don't have the ammo, or you're running out, your next option was either to run the opposite direction and with a bayonet attached to the rifle and stabbing them. Obviously, we never thought about running away, but but imagine the thought and imagine how scared you had to be standing there loading that gun while you're getting shot at. Cannonballs shooting at you. You don't have to be hit directly for it to do damage. It can literally be bouncing off the ground, and it's still with enough momentum to take out your leg or anything like that. And remember, there was no. I would assume that you would only watch a movie. Oh, okay. I have watched some with commentary. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, imagine back in the day, 250 years ago, standing up 30 yards distance away from your opponent, armed with your a one-shot pistol and a one-shot rifle. And maybe enough ammo to at least soldiers out. But that would be horrible to think about. Yeah, and that was like that for the next, let's say, almost the next 100 years. It would have been the exact same even during the Civil War. So it's a little bit better because removed the flintlocks and went to for something to still had them from those day, some of that to that day. But with the thanks of the percussion cap, it made the flintlock mechanisms obsolete. It was still a muzzle loader, and you still had only one round per shot. But then I think it made it a little bit quicker to do. But again, imagine standing out in front of the person and you only had kind of hard to hide wearing them. Love how fancy the uniforms were. Well, yeah, that too. They're kind of hard to hide. But they back in those days of war, how war advances over the years. They 250 years ago, the way wars was done, uh, one battalion up against another one. They stand at a distance and they fire one shot at a time. Then they will load up and try to do it again. And if you get shot and you drop dead, another person stands in their place and then fire back. And then it keeps going. Once you run out of ammo, you stick bayonet on your gun and you charge at them. And it was like that for a little while. And then Washington helped us learn about guerrilla warfare because he learned it from the Indians during the French and Indian War. To which not all our soldiers were standing like that like the British would. Many times if they were in forest areas, they could hide behind trees, aim and shoot, and then take the trees for cover. Then we learned that for the Civil War. I mean, just because then again, wearing those uniforms didn't help much at all, especially during the time. Those uniforms didn't keep them warm at all. And then after the Civil War, say like pre-World War One, when we go to the Spanish-American War, that's, literally like near the end of World War, around near the end of the Civil War, post the Spanish-American War, when we started having weapons that could fire more than one round, so like a pistol or that. Then we start seeing less of, you know, like 30-yard out standoff between one and the other. We start seeing them running and hiding more. Then in the Spanish American War, we invented bolt action rifles and lever action weapons to make it easier to hide. No longer we got rid of the whole standing up and firing at a distance. Now how we've affected war over the years. Now you barely know. Now you only see that in reenactments now, where people would do those type of warfare. Today's warfare, you don't want to stand out. You stick out like a sore thumb and you get shot at. Now it's all about hiding, and then when you see an opportunity, you pop out and shoot. But yeah, how war has changed over 250 years. Imagine. But the invention of the machine gun, that even got rid of the battalion charge. But saying, even when they charge at us with the bayonets after the Civil War, when they invented machine gun fire, because when that happened, you basically were running into a dead zone. Ever since they invented machine guns, the whole charge thing went out of the way. And they just didn't realize they were setting up a trap. As they run back, as the British come over the hill, they didn't realize it was like fish in a barrel. Because there's the rest of the American army ready to shoot them down the hill. They ducked down, realized it was a trap. And they shot them all dead. And then when they reload, she gets back up and fires their rounds too. Now they charge at him. He flips the guy with the British flag. Got bayonets on the ready. Like a club, swings that son of a bitch. Yeah. The actress who played his youngest daughter, the one who wouldn't talk. Oh, Susan? Him in the movie died in real life when she was 19 years old. Sad. Wow. So, I think she was like 7, like, and she only lived like to around 2012. Ooh. And here's a scene that I like more because this helped create like the way America is today. Because this helped create the idea of how the American flag looks on people's uniforms. Number 3. We never fall back. We always go forward. And that's why on the soldiers' uniforms, when they have the American flag patch, you never see the Canton part. Like on the one side, it's going backwards. They always. And to this very day, when we go to war, we never. Now they're taking back the field. The British are running. Headshot. Yeah, I just like how they show these scenes in this movie. Now comes to the big battle between Mel Gibson and that British guy. He's only armed with a flag, while the other one's armed with a cavalry saber. Yeah, this is good. I mean, and get this. This guy, I don't know if they had like a stunt double for him to pull this act, but imagine jab the flag right into the heart, causing the horse to drop dead, and that British guy run straight off. Realistically, I think that British guy would probably hurt thrown off a dead horse. I mean, George Washington, when during the Revolutionary War, he lost 3 horses that were shot underneath him. And he still kept fighting. And yet, this actor, you gotta give him balls the fact that he's willing to go forward even after that. Oh, just fired his last shot right into his arm. Not a mortal wound. Now, nothing beats this hell of a fight. Now it's just cavalry saber versus a pistol and an axe. Now he's fighting I gotta say, this was one hell of a battle. Everyone else is like fighting amongst themselves, and yet here we have Mel Gibson's character and this one British actor's character up with a punch and slices his arm. Up, grabs up, looks like a. Alright, now it's a hatchet and a small dagger, along with like a bayonet knife and a cavalry saber. Ooh, headbutt. Oh, he slices up him. Gets his cut back on him. Oh, again, another slice. From below. Still fighting. His hat. The one that killed many soldiers. He grabs up a rifle with a bayonet. And with a slice to his back, that may just be it for him. It's funny, they don't make movies like this. I mean, they got good graphics for this back in 2000. Let's turn the camera back one more time for this scene. Looks like he's gonna go for a head decapitation. Dodge. Ooh, bayonet right to the stomach. And with the bayonet, goes right to the throat. Finish him. And just like that, he's dead. I mean, that was a pretty good scene right there. And thank the guy's now dead, mounted on the bayonet, just stocked into the ground. At least he finished him off. Now the British are on the run. First time he has to say that. But I said, the early 2000s, when they made a movie like this, it's the first, I mean, gets you hyped about America's history. Great scene. Yeah, I'd say definitely a good scene. Plus, too, the effects and they do in this movie is pretty good. Not the CG effects. Like, they use practical effects, like the squibs, they call them. And here comes the French Navy fleet. Well, it looks pretty damn badass. Literally, now trapped in Yorktown, they have to surrender. And just like that, America was free. Yeah. Before I do more of this, again, I want to talk about the movie. So yeah, you said the actress who played Susan. I assume she was like 7 at this time. She looks like she may play like 7 or 8 years old at this time. And you said she died at the age of 19. It was like what, around 2011, maybe 2012. Yeah, and the guy I just know as well. There's the other actor that plays like the army general or lieutenant or something here. That's with Mel Gibson's character. He was played in another movie with Jim Carrey of Me, Myself, and Irene. Yeah, and this helped build the this helped build a union with French day one when it became a nation and still is to this day. She was born in '92 and died in 2014. Oh, I thought you said she was 19. Okay. So when this movie came out, she was because this came out in 2000. Well, actually, they probably filmed in '99. So she was at least 7 or so. I was on the point. She was like 7 or 8. But yeah, you get that right? I was close. Oh, okay. I was on point with her age because I said she looked like she was maybe 7 or 8 years old, and you said she was born in '92. Maybe she had to have been like 7 or 8 at the time when this movie was made. Yeah, all his local people, friends from the militia helping out build his house again. Wow. Yeah, he's a free man. That guy. And they're building his new home. Huge house. Yeah. All right. But before I continue on with this, for all those that are watching, I want to say this: for the for patriotic movies like The Patriot, then we go to the movie that came out 4 years before The Patriot. We talk about the movie Independence Day. Now that one is a science fiction like action movie that came out in '96, my year. It runs the same time as Twister and Space Jam and many other great movies of '96. But Independence, I mean, most people do not. Some people do not like Independence Day. Probably because the fact it's just basically a science fiction like movie. But then again, it came out with a sequel 20 years after. But I say it's still a great movie. I'll give you that. It's a great movie to watch, especially on Independence Day. Yeah, or 4th of July. But now it makes you wonder, what do you guys think was a better 4th of July movie to watch? I mean, I mean, out of if you had the options of these two movies, Independence Day and The Patriot, which one would you rather say is the better movie? That's or yet the one you watch more of. Would you rather be watching Independence Day or would you rather be watching The Patriot? So with Mel Gibson and Heath Ledger versus Will Smith and Jack. Between those, that's what we're gonna do. This we're gonna do is the battle of the movies. I've seen that in the movies. Independence Day. The line went around. Wow. And I think that actually was the movie that the box office of the year 1996. Behind it was Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt's Twister. I say this: battle between these two movies. Which one is obviously the one that you think should be the best movie to watch? We got 1996 Independence Day versus. Obviously, they both, and I gotta say, both are kind of hard to say because, then again, movie of the Patriot that stars Steven Seagal. I think that came out in '95. And of course, there's another Independence Day that was a Warner Brothers movie that came out. But obviously, everyone knows when you talk about the movie, like the movies, like if you talk about Independence Day, people don't think about the Warner Brothers version of the Independence Day because it has nothing to do with it. They talk about the 20th Century Fox sci-fi movie. And of course, The Patriot, most people wouldn't think of Steven Seagal's movie. They would think more of the Mel Gibson movie. But anyway, we have a battle of the movies. Which one do you think would be the better movie to watch on the 4th of July? Obviously, I'll be watching both today. But which one would you say you watch more of, if not yet watch first? Between characters. Uh, which one do you think has the edge over the other? We got Day with Will Smith, as I mentioned, Bill Pullman, and Jeff Goldblum. Already three top great characters of this film. I think there's another one that's famous of it. Oh yeah, the guy who plays Data from Star Trek's in there. Uh, I think there's that one guy that was in Mrs. Doubtfire. I forgot the actor's name, but he sounds something like this. I forgot his name, but Independence Day had more action, but The Patriot had the best story, in my opinion. Yeah, I would say. '94 was more action. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another thing too. Since Independence Day, technically there was already a movie called that. That's why 20th Century Fox added a subtitle to it. That's why they were calling it ID4. That's why until they made a sequel, it was Independence Day ID4, just so nobody would mix it up with the other Independence Day movie. But yeah, I would agree. The Patriot was going more of a historical timepiece, like involved with a guy with his family during the height of the Revolutionary War from the 1780s, like during the height of the Revolutionary War. As the Independence Day, it was just out of nowhere that aliens come to annihilate the human race on Earth in 1996, and it's up to the rest of humanity to try to fight them off, like that type fail. Next is with the acting, like characters. Like, do you favor Mel Gibson with Heath Ledger over Jeff Goldblum, Will Smith, and Bill Pullman, and all those other characters I just mentioned? I mean, don't get me wrong. Will Smith is gonna be a hard person to go up against. I mean, just his canny attitude for the movie and just how he acts. It's just he's a great actor. I'll give him that. He's an okay actor compared to like Jeff Goldblum. But yeah, Will Smith, I say definitely gives the helping vibe of Independence Day. But Mel Gibson, now he too is I say great actor and a classic when it comes to the Patriot. It came out 4 years after this movie. But I would agree. Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum and all of them, when it compared to Mel Gibson and Heath Ledger, yes, they all. I'd say that one's kind of more like it's a 50-50 thing in acting. Again, yeah, I would agree with that because I assume they fit the role. I would suspect to see, and as well think Jeff Goldblum's character. He was a TV cable repairman who discovered or somehow has like some type of genius to discover a signal from the aliens that that has the world attack, and yet he finds out that the only way to put down the the shields of the aliens was a to think that this alien race ran on PCs. If it ran on Apple, would have been screwed. But yeah, the Patriot, I'd say, for as a timepiece, their acting and all that, they got it quite down on point. I mean, even though I'm pretty sure some of the words or the stuff they talk about, in like the wording, how they talk in the movie, maybe it's not as accurate because I'm pretty sure some words they say they wouldn't have said back in ever on point and all that. Now, music. That one I have to give to the Patriot just because the fact they had John Williams himself for the music of the Patriot. And I don't know. I mean, if you know any or songs or that from Independence Day as much as you know from the Patriot, I think I think Patriot probably would have music hands down because they had good classic themes to that because nothing compares to John Williams. I'm sorry, but when you have John Williams for your soundtrack and music for a movie, it's gonna be a kick-ass movie. I mean, don't you agree, Pez? I agree, definitely. I remember Jeff's character did go to MIT in the movie. You have to be very smart to go into that school. Yeah, but the MIT student figure out about a signal that's hidden inside a satellite and realize when that signal's gone that the alien's gonna attack. It just seems kind of odd that a certain MIT repair guy or that works in New York would figure that out. At this point, I'm pretty sure a simple person that worked at Xfinity would find out we have UFOs flying around on our Earth by now. Now, special effects. I want to say this one. Special effects. That one's going to be a harder one to debate on because they both have good effects. One, the Patriot, it had special effects. It wasn't I don't think you had any CG or that in the movie The Patriot. The majority of it was involved with explosion, the cannonballs. Obviously, they were firing blanks. They weren't firing real bullets because that'd be stupid. And they don't want to have an incident that happened with the Crow and all that. Yeah. Obviously, and of course, when they get shot, you see like the blood shoot out of them. Like that was a good practical effect that they do in the movie The Patriot. And of course, they add that whole makeup and that to make it look like they've gone through hell and they've gone through a war. Now, with Independence Day, with a higher budget and plus two adding an alien effect, I gotta say they had a good special effect there too. In fact, they added aliens to the mix. Special effects goes to ID4 hands down. I would agree with that. Other than the fact that the computer graphics, obviously, during the fight scenes where they add planes, they can try to add that vibe to make it look like the planes are actually there, but you can clearly see they're not. Until like the sequel, like Independence Day Resurgence, the special effects is more like I say a lot closer to realistic feel. Where in the original, where the fighter jets and that flying around shooting aliens, it clearly looks like they're not even there. Like that's CG stuff. But their effects definitely I agree. Like when they blew up the White House, that there they actually take a little model of the White House and rig that thing to blow up. And looking up, they only had one shot at that, and they was right. But I do agree that the effects probably would definitely was what gives the Independence Day a slight edge. But for realistic tones, for me, Patriot is I would say literally for the fact that it feels like you they actually filmed the movie like it would look exactly like that. I mean, I kind of on that. Yeah, when the aliens destroyed the city, after that scene, the entire movie theater was cheering. Yeah, I'm surprised at how you have people in the movie theater cheering a city of theirs being destroyed by an alien. Guess they didn't like the cities, huh? But I agree, especially the fact that oh, okay, I would give the effects slightly to Independence Day, just because the fact that it does have good effects. But for realistic, I would say for effects of realistic tones, I would give it to Patriot as well. But yet, Independence Day gets a slight edge. Music goes to the Patriot, like I say. The the actors and like the cast, I would definitely want to give to the Patriot because again, they fit the vibe of it. Music. Next is the feeling of being a timepiece. Okay, like a classic. Which movie gets that vibe when you think of it as a classic? When people talk about The Patriot or when they talk about Independence Day, which one you say is more of a classic movie to watch over the other? Like which one you think gets that feel? Oh, this one's a classic. No, no, wait. Before that, I'd say about this one. It was such an incredible scene. Not really. Okay. How about this one? Edge for action. Literally, because each one has got action scenes in them. One involved with fire planes shooting at aliens. Another one with men literally battling each other with guns, and bayonets, and cannons and shit. Which one do you think has the better action? Like, which movie has the best action? Would that be ID4 or The Patriot? Let's say Patriot's got by I would assume by the cast and music. But let's see if Independence Day can tie this fight up with which one has the better action. I would say for me, with action, that's gonna be a hard one to go by because I feel like I want like the action in the Patriot than I would for like Independence Day because majority of the time it's more it feels like when the aliens come by and they finally just destroy cities, it makes that feel like there's nothing they could do. ID4 for action and special effects. The Patriot better actors, acting, and story. Yeah, okay. Yes, hold on 1 second, folks. Four for action. Okay, you saying action for fact of like having the fighter planes just and that shooting up the aliens and that. I mean, that one will be kind of. I mean, don't get me wrong on that, but then again, with the page like battling out on a battlefield, shooting them, it makes you feel like you're there, rooting for them, like to shoot the son of a bitch. But yeah, okay. Now, this one, drama. Which movie gets the edge on drama? You know, like Patriots got some drama moments. You know, seeing like how the British come in and Thomas in the beginning, then they would burn Mel Gibson's home along with his barns, and then he'd lose Gabriel midway into the movies. Oh yeah, as well. Sorry for anyone that's not seen these movies. I mean, after all, they're over nearly 30 years old. Well, one is is nearly 30 years old, and the other one's about 26 years old. So if you haven't seen them, what the hell are you doing? But for drama, with the Patriot, obviously scenes of Mel Gibson losing his children, and as well losing loved ones due to the British and stuff like that. It does. Yeah, Patriot hands down. ID4 was kind of predictable. Yeah, the drama in ID4, there was not much of drama other than the fact that feeling like humanity is losing hope, and of course, the president lost his wife. That was only the bit of drama I've seen out of that movie. It was more action in it than drama. But yeah, with the Patriot, you could feel the drama out of that one. Like how they lock them in the church and then they burn it down. That one, I think the Patriot gets on drama. So far, almost neck and neck between these movies. But now it's just an honest opinion. If you have these two movies out, well, first off, we'll say this. They would say, which one makes it feel more patriotic of a movie? Or The Patriot? You could feel the drama in The Patriot. Yeah, I would say that, definitely. But now, for this one that would give the edge, and I say the number one for this, which movie has that vibe that feel like it's a movie you want to watch every 4th of July? Like, which movie gets the more of the American feel of a movie? Independence Day or The Patriot? And they're both equal in the thing. I mean, one's named after the day that of the 4th of July, for God's sakes, and the other one is what helped created the 4th of July in the begin with. It's a historical timepiece. One's more of a sci-fi thing, but where it happened to have a war on the day America was formed. Like I said, which movie do you think is more or have that feel of an American movie? Because in the Independence Day, I mean, don't get me wrong, majority of the happened within the American country, but at the entire world, they felt the whole world for. But for the Patriot, it just feels like it took you back in time to see America be formed. In a more serious way, you have to say the Patriot. If you're going for fun, I would say for yes. I say if you want to have that vibe to know what America's been through, you would watch the Patriot. Like because the Patriot is more of a historical feel. I'm pretty sure majority of the scenes in the movie are not accurate to what happened the Revolutionary War, but it adds that vibe. It's like Titanic. It's a fiction. I mean, it's a real life story, but it involves around characters that were fictional. It's the same thing like this. It's a real life historical moment in America's life, but majority of the characters around it were probably fictional. this. But I say definitely for my feel, I'm gonna give it to the Patriot more. And obviously it came first. It spawned a couple game and it spawned a game and a sequel. Patriot never did that. But then again, the Patriot stood alone on its own thing. It didn't need a video game. It didn't need a sequel. It was basically a badass movie. Yeah, Patriot would be based on things that more likely happen. Yes. Where Independence Day, obviously, it came out in July around that time to praise the American thing of the America's Independence Day. But then again, it involved more of a global thing with the whole plot where it was aliens trying to take over the world. It wasn't just America; it was the entire damn world. I say definitely for a movie for the Fourth of July, I would definitely say you will watch The Patriot first. But anyway, off with that. I'd be more excited, of course, tonight, 4th of July, probably AEW Collision happening. But speaking of, obviously, there was one time that AEW had changed the All Atlantic Championship or the International Championship to the American Championship. Basically, its own version of the U.S. title. But now I wonder, Battle of the Belts. I mean, we already know, we would say the WCW U.S. title is probably the best United States Championship by far. Yeah. But there's also the NWA US, and which was the 10 pounds of silver. But yeah, we already done Battle of the Belts when it comes to US belts. But yeah, think about how they stopped the aliens in '94. Apparently, the aliens used Microsoft Windows in their spaceships. I was laughing about that because I mentioned I was thinking about when they ever make a sequel to this, they would come back and actually have upgraded to Apple software. But yeah, it would seem kind of funny that this alien race is their technology is way beyond advanced than ours, but yet once they come to us, apparently we find out their technology is run on Windows, probably Windows 94. Yeah, and yet, and again, we would use their own technology to advance our world until they made a return in the sequel. And it's fine. When we make a sequel where they come back to fight us, upgrade to Apple. Yeah. All right. One more. Uh, I'll do one more quiz thing here before I'll cut this stuff a little bit. Speaking of, since I'm watching Independence Day now, he yelled out a famous line of, "And what the hell is that smell?" That for him to say in the middle of that field. True or false? It's part of the script for him to say, "What the hell is that smell?" anyone in my action sequence were good in the sequel, but I didn't care for the characters like they did in the first one. Yeah, there was not any of the no, there was none any like of the originals, other except David and his dad. They killed off Will Smith's character early in the sequel. The only one that probably came back was Dylan, and of course the forgot the I forgot the president's daughter's name, but yeah, she comes back. But yeah, I don't think it's the exact same actress. And of course the scientists. That's the only ones that come back from the sequel. But I'm saying true or false. Will Smith shouting out "What the hell's that smell?" was part of the script in that scene. You said he probably improvised that. Actually, the true answer was when he was going through the desert. Of the scene, he said, "And what the hell is that smell?" It wasn't part of this. It wasn't part of the script at all. In fact, it was an unscripted reaction because in a nearby lake, there was rotten dead shrimp, and it was smelling so horrible. Obviously, when he caught a glimpse of it, he didn't. I mean, got it. It just threw him off from him being an actor, and just be like, "Man, what is that smell?" And it fits so well to that scene. They left it in the movie, so now everyone that watches Independence Day and knows that scene well, and what the hell is that smell? Nobody now would realize that it was actually an unscripted reaction from Will Smith to the smell of shrimp in a nearby lake. But yeah, it was totally unscripted. Okay, one more before I probably stream. True or false? When they were filming Independence Day, they actually had the U.S. military helping them out. Until they mentioned Area 51, then they pulled away from it. True or false? During the beginning of the Independence Day movie, they had the help from the U.S. military. But as soon as they mentioned Area 51, they backed. They didn't want nothing to do with the movie when they started mentioning Area 51. Let's see. Probably true. You got me dragging your heavy ass through the desert with your dreads hanging out. Yeah, I know that one. Well, that one was probably improvised because I don't know if they made him say that or if he said it himself. But I know the "what the hell is the smell" wasn't part of the script. Yes, indeed, it was true. During the war, they actually had the U.S. military helping them out with the uniforms and the aircraft and all that stuff. But as soon as they started mentioning about the Area 51 scene, they backed off and said they don't want nothing to do with it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna probably end this live stream now. Get back to watching the movie and enjoy my football. Yes, thank you for being a part of this live stream. I want to shout out to also a good old friend of mine, Iram, and a good old friend, X, who I've been doing these live streams. His channel, check out Pez's channel. He shows off his wrestling collection. Maybe you see a 4th of July video come from Pez showing off his if you got any. Streaming tomorrow. Definitely will be streaming tomorrow. But Yeah, and shouts to Stephen Hammer and Brother Kane. Check out their channels. Brother Kane does wrestling related video games videos, and Stephen Hammer does relatable to belts. And that. Yeah, and yeah. If you are new to my channel, want to know what I'm all about? Especially, hold on, I gotta use the Jedi mind trick. Especially with the bad boys right behind me. Okay, I'll see you then, man. Yep, see you too, Paz. Thank you for being a part of this live stream. If you want to know what I'm all about, seeing the bad boys right behind me, check out my channel. I may do another video today. I may do a video probably after this live stream, 4th of July video about it. But anyway, yeah, so thank you guys so much for being a part of this live stream. Yeah, you're new to my channel, what I'm all about, check out my main channel for over 700 some videos. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, guys. Come on. I'm 2 subscribers away from reaching 900. Let's try to get me to 900. And as well, follow me on my social media, like on Instagram at DMTombstone96, and as well on X at DMTombstone96, where I post stuff here on YouTube. In fact, my most recent post of showing off a happy 4th of July video. Little reel. Belts and for DM2 Live, signing off. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Don't forget to ring that notification bell to start our matches. To start doing where you guys see more live streams. Obviously, one tomorrow, and other videos down the line. Anyway, I'm DM Tombstone Belts, and for DM Tombstone Live, signing off. See you guys next time. Have a good day, everybody, and again, happy 4th of July to all my American fans. See you guys next time.